So we are back with some PSO. We had a chat request in between streams. I'll try to capture the request going forward, but I was asked specifically, what quests can you do in very hard mode? Potentially either to look for items to go to ultimate, or potentially to level if you're struggling with early ultimate. That'll be the focus of the different quests here. So we're gonna go ahead and, I guess, do our first one, which is just Terrell's Ego on White ID. I haven't decided what ID to do for TTF. I haven't thought that far in advance, but if chat has a suggestion on very hard, I don't think it really matters, to be honest. We're gonna go ahead and just do Terrell's Ego. The reason why this quest is good for people that are leveling, not only is there a pretty good density of enemies to fight, but it also has a decent amount of Disco Brave Man chances on all the rare enemies. So if you're looking for something to potentially level up with, this is not a bad one to do. It's also a go-to, I would say, for things like Anniversary Event, or anything that drops like a lot of items. So it's good to know about this quest, regardless of what difficulty you're in, just because it's so universally strong. Team, go ahead and hop in, the game should be up. Oh, look at that, he already has an adept equipped, how convenient. But aside from that, we mostly just have some smaller quests to do, and those are more situational per character, since I wasn't told a specific class this was for. I just did some general ones. We need one more player. If somebody would like to hop in, there we go. Get started. I'm gonna double check the IDs, and maybe Hulkleave will also help with that to some extent for TTF. But we'll do at least Terrell's Ego. So this is something I would do probably on lower level characters, where I'm not necessarily going to have the strength in order to clear like falls by myself. But in single player play, Forest is generally the easiest to do in general. So we have with us a whole bunch of very hard mode characters that are looking to level as we go through the video. And then from there, we're just going to do a basic clear of the quest. So anytime we see a rare enemy, that's basically the big payday. I have my force here to showcase like advanced strats, but it's pretty easy to do with these things. I just see the insta-death of the team, nice. A lot of these enemies will just melt. Every one of those moths during like Easter event or Halloween or anything like that potentially has the ability to drop you badges or cookies or Easter eggs. So as I said before, this is just a very strong quest to do regardless. Although if you're specifically looking for the rare enemies, you don't have to really stay... Like, you could leave in this room, for example. You don't have to technically clear this room out. That Mothfist died so quickly. We'll let the team deal with that. We're going to show you some tech, just so we have it in the video, of, like, ways you could speed up the run. If all you're looking for is, like, Hill Detour for, like, Disco Brave Man, what you could do is, if you go against this wall and spam Razan with a decent level Razan, you can pop boxes to spawn enemies up there. Now this might not be doable unless you have things like God Technique, since it does require a decently leveled Razan technique. So just be aware, you can pick those up in the Korin's prize pool regardless of difficulty. So it is technically possible to do this, just probably not your first time in here, unless you've been really into the 1k gamble life. In which case, we'll talk about some quests to get money and or other levels pretty quickly. The team's doing a little check-in here to kill the Hildebears. Typically on like the rare enemy weeks, we only check them, and if they're not rare, we move on. But since we're doing very hard mode, we'll kill everything. In fact, you know what? We'll deal with those later to showcase what Force can deal with. Now, if you have a good team with you, what you can end up doing is putting a telepipe down near the red door. And where possible, if you're basically helping other people power level, you can kind of split the duties a little bit. So like you could go on ahead while the three of them potentially deal with the wave. I'm going to leave that telepipe down for later to save us some time walking around the map. It's just like a minor optimization. We don't have to go in the other room just quite yet. Forgot how quick they die on very hard. It's been a while since we played it. Yeah, we don't have too much to worry about here. This is probably the room that's gonna get newer players. Oh, he doesn't have his fluids. These things, fast walking, can be a problem on other difficulty. Fortunately, they behaved here. Because getting shot by that lightning is quite annoying for basically everybody. Otherwise, we'll just be stacking Gavoe here, which we should be doing by doing this for faster cast. You can see that can lead to some insta-kills. That's not bad XP for episode 1. Or, yeah, not bad XP for episode 1. But we'll see a couple of quests later in this list that will be much better for XP. This is more like, potentially if you don't have access to episode 4, or don't want to do it, because maybe you aren't a force. It's pretty easy to clear this area as a ranger, especially with any kind of shotgun. But definitely I feel like force tends to excel in the earlier areas. We're showcasing like what sort of endgame force looks like clearing through here. The strategy doesn't change that much, aside from what checks you can skip. Lots of aristas. But sadly no rare enemies since we don't have the bonus lined up for today. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and take chat's teleport. Itsu found something. And chat will take my telepipe to go to the main area. So what can happen is that the team can clear this area up. So I don't need to participate in this. That's basically going to spawn a lot of Hildebears. Instead, what I can do as the splitter is I can choose to just go in the next room. What I would recommend is to avoid the trap in here if you're playing as a force or like a ranger without trap sight. If you touch the switch from that angle, you don't even deal with any traps that are there. The team will kill the Hildebears. They'll take their time with it. Meanwhile, I'm going to be able to set up in this room for an eternity, as I'm a force. So it's kind of nice that you can split the duties to basically fast clear this area. And if a boss fight is good, yeah, we're listening to some Final Fantasy 7 as we murder everything. So by the time the team gets here, I'm already set up. And what'll happen is that we'll eventually... Oh, there we go. So we opened up another door. So technically somebody could go to the next area if they want to. I guess I can move on. But basically, the wave you're looking for here is specifically the double Hildebear. When you see double Hildebear spawn after you go near the far side, just it looks like they also went up there. That's fine. We're looking for the double Hildebear spawn that lets us know the wave is over. Team will split push up there. There's basically a million moths. So if you have like a decently leveled team, especially if you're like, let's say you're like 70, 75 or like 80 and you're like, you know, I'm not quite ready for ultimate for one reason or another. This is a pretty easy quest to do. It still gives good XP. Or if it makes a oh no, let's do this. Pretty good. But basically what we could do as a force, we'll show you a little magic spot as well, especially if you're a beginner character and you're looking to reduce aggro. Maybe you're playing solo in this quest instead of multiplayer. But it's worth mentioning some of the strategies here. What the team did is we made sure we hit the switch that was on in the opposite side of the arena. You need to hit 2 switches in order to access this area. So the team, when we went to the telepipe, it basically activated a switch. I'm gonna cast Ryuker. So that way we had access to this route. So I don't think I mentioned that. But from our standpoint here, we're looking for double Hildebear, so we know that's the final wave, so we don't need to wait around after this. Just leave. But basically, the team is done. Now, they might have full cleared the other room because they're pretty powerful. Looks like they're done. So technically, at this point, the run would end. If you're looking for just, like, easy pickups of, like, to skip Rayman. But if you're looking to level, and or you're just grinding out early badges, you would just do the boss fight at this point. So we'll do the boss fight for the sake of the team. I probably could have taken the telepipe, but I wanted to showcase for new players how to get here. Oh, this poor dragon is so dead. Chat, can we have a big F in the chat for this dragon? This very hard mode dragon? Now, there's a multiplayer quest you can do, which is pretty popular for leveling. I personally don't think it's the best quest. So we'll talk about, like, the level up quest per episode. So I guess we'll do one of each. I think the IDs matter a bit less for the full boss clear. I don't think I'm gonna super worry about which one is, like, quote-unquote the best. Other than, like, the general rule of thumb is probably Blue ID Jaya. Purple ID Vice, white ID Disco Brave Man. So like that would be my recommendation. I think for episode 2 I prefer blue ID for sure. But technically, you could do those things. Yeah, basically we come to the warp. You can slash lobby here, or if you want to do a check for rare enemies here, you could kill these lilies if you want to. Just showcasing something you end up doing more in ultimate. Usually at least check this room in ultimate. See if there's a rare lily or something of interest there. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and reset out the run. We don't normally full clear this quest on very hard. We just clear up to at least this room, depending on the ID. But very hard mode doesn't have too many interesting things here, so we're gonna go ahead and go back. I guess up next we'll do some, I guess in the vein of leveling characters in preparation for it. You'll see a lot of people make multiplayer games, and generally it doesn't matter as much what you do there. But I'm gonna go ahead and bring a blue ID first. So that way we just get Jaya chances. As I said before, I don't think there's like a super ultimate ID, I think, for very hard mode runs. There's a couple of Heart of items that exist in Mines and Ruins, but you wouldn't really run the TTF on those IDs, other than if you just happen to be power leveling and people are helping you out. I think for the most part, I think I've decided there's only one Heart of item I will talk about, since it interacts with a kind of interesting run that some people do. So we'll talk about, we'll split a run bit by bit, and then we'll use that as like, this is where you would reset if, in those kinds of scenarios. And we'll do part of one of the other quests. But I think just for Chance of Jaya, I'm assuming this will be the best. From our perspective, when we're thinking about like late game, like what things would help us excel in the higher difficulties, Jaya, M&A 60 Vice, and Disco Brave Man are some of the most commonly used items. You get them pretty much in almost every difficulty, and they are just phenomenal. So we're gonna go ahead and just clear a TTF here. Will also help the chat get some experience. Yeah, the big reason why we don't do like a ton of hunts on very hard mode, especially for weapons, is the fact that there's a back-end percentage that determines the chance of it rolling hit. Not only is there a pattern for the area, which will designate the highest it could possibly roll, but also there's just a chance it won't have hit percentage. So unless there's like a phenomenal amount of things that you can hunt on very hard mode to offset that lower chance of hit, generally you will not see higher level players run it, but I think it's still worth mentioning. We're gonna do Towards the Future. This is the classic boss quest. There we go, everybody's leveling now. Dangotron getting that XP. Now, unfortunately, we're doing this chat request outside of an anniversary event. I would recommend to play things like the anniversary events with people. Like, that's also just a general quest assumption. But I think from the standpoint of casual play, to make it a bit less situational, we'll mention it. I will show off one situational thing, though, involving cookies, which we get from October. Because I do want to emphasize to new players how good that is. I just feel like killing that room, chat. I don't have to. Technically, we could just kill this thing and go straight to the boss. Is what I was waiting around to show. But either way, they're already dead. Yeah, we have a pretty powerful team, even though they're on very hard mode, since these are players that have played time and time again here. Kaiser is saying something. I'm going to read it out in the chat in a moment. So there are quests that you do in general, or most of them you're hunt after something. So I would say, from the standpoint of Ultimate, you will generally be playing quests that both either give you XP or the item that you're hunting for. Episode 4, you don't choose, you do both. So it's like, if you want to level and get items, episode 4 is like one of the best ones for it. I love that he's fire resistant, but it just doesn't matter what I use on this boss. We have so much damage, this boss is just ultimately getting trashed. So like, we'll talk about it more when we go into section IDs, but the intent of PSO, for the most part, is you enjoy your first playthrough, you play with whatever ID you have, but the idea is that Ultimate will require at least 2 to 3 IDs to get everything. In fact, I think it requires a minimum of 3. Like, technically, there's ways where you could get, like, Viridian Jaya, for example, to say you technically can get Jaya. But, like, for long-term hunts, you'll want other IDs to cover those. So I want to make sure there's nothing, some kind of benefit out of sub experience or chance of drops. I would say for the most part, there aren't really quote-unquote quests you need to do. There's just quests that are just way more efficient at doing it. So, like, if you check the Ephinea site, it will generally list them in clear order. It doesn't have every run type, though. So, it'll miss some of the resets. I think they have some of them where, like, you do a floor, and if you full clear a floor, they have those on the wiki. But they're not going to teach you, like, the resets. Which I think is, like, a big thing that I think is still being explored. At least I don't see it mentioned in, like, the other quest guides. How high did the alts get to cookie quest? 80. We stopped as soon as the team hit 80. But we're leveling other people's alts while going through this video. So we're gonna let teams stand in that other room. Basically, in caves, there's a fake wall at the opposite end of the room you start in. Somebody ran through there and then activated an enemy, which lets you skip waves. They're now in the prior room waiting for, I believe it's an evil shark on very hard mode to spawn. And once it spawns, the door will open. So multiplayer will go ahead and set up a telepipe for them as like a courtesy so they don't have to walk here. Now, depending on your power level, if you're playing with a lot of low-level players or high-level players, sometimes you don't want to telepipe because you need the bonuses. Also, I'm going to learn the non-ultimate version of this boss because we have not done this in eons. Other than I know you're not going to do what I think you're going to do. I mean, at least on the plus side, Rafoi destroys this boss. So this should be a pretty quick boss once I pop this. Oh, you want to jump over the raft? I got bad news for you. Go ahead. Oh, I thought you were going to jump. Never mind. I think this is GG, though. Goodbye. Look at that, chat. I killed every segment on that worm. That felt a bit cruel. Oh, forces. I miss your ability to deal with bosses. Yeah, we put a Gafoi out while we're in that cutscene. Technically, we can hold down on the controller in order to walk backwards to get the boss drop sooner. Oh, look at this. We finally get to play with electricity. I miss this. Remember when you could just be broken like this, chat? Damn you, Ultimate Minds. If only you were like this. You know what? I might as well just keep clearing them. Chat needs XP. Not like I don't just kill all of them instantly. So anyway, chat will go towards the far end of this room in order for a Sinnoh to appear. Killing that Sinnoh opens the door. So there's speed tech in the rooms. I will probably miss talking about some of it. This is another room coming up that's a bit optional. So we could choose to go through a fake wall at the opposite end of this upcoming room in order to spawn a Sinnoh Red. Or excuse me, Sinnoh Gold in very hard mode, excuse me. And we can kill that to open the door. I can showcase what happens if you bother getting experience here. They just melt. Kinda sad. Chat can move on to the next room if they want. I'm just showcasing how dumb this is. Like, I think I literally just solo cleared this room. There's nothing they could do. So dumb. There we go, I got a Speed's arm. Not a bad pickup. My bad. Freeze them. It's not sad, it's just payback. Kind of. Unfortunately here, I don't do a lot of damage in multiplayer. This is where forces struggle a little bit. Now they popped a switch that was at the far wall there. That way we could go here. I mean... Okay, my Gazanda's on the top of the list. I could try to stun lock, I don't know. It's gonna be awkward. The problem is I don't remember the hard mode strategies. I'm so used to doing it on ultimate, so I definitely apologize. Yeah, we're gonna just start things off with Razan so I can aim at the boss. Oh, that just popped it, actually? That's crazy. Imagine actually popping the screen. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spam Gafoi instead. I think I'm just gonna choose to pop everything, yeah. I didn't realize the monitors took that much damage, so we're just gonna stack Gafoi with Magical Piece, and this should be GG. I hear it taking damage. I put on Magical Piece because the boss works by checking ATP. My ATP's okay. Not phenomenal. There we go. Rip boss. I kind of like his older design. I don't really care about his ultimate version. I was gonna say, remember when this boss had a set pattern? I missed that too. Also, the boss is dead. A guilty light drop. That's not a bad drop. Look at that, chat. I'm leveling at 177 in very hard mode. Life doesn't make sense. I miss Red Ruins as well. It's been an eternity. Get rid of these real quick. I guess I'll show the strategy. Oh, team's gonna do the strategy instead. Never mind. I'm just gonna full clear for Team XP. I mean, I have Rafoi. I might as well use it while I'm waiting for team. They're trying to kill this sorcerer, which team has done successfully. Well, somebody takes the rightmost door in order to appear at the top of the platform. The reason they do that is to force that thing to spawn. But I think at this point, we don't need to kill these, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just leave a Ryuker up for the team. Ryuker is up. Just take the telepipe. I need to walk. Oh, never mind. Got the walkers. Now, fortunately here, I should be so overlevel that Gafoi stacking should just be insane here. On my little twirly cat mag. Having a good time. Look at it doing the disco spins. But one is enough. We're gonna stack anyway. Is their weakness. Nice. Full damage. The enemy reader doesn't show me what it is. Alright, so they are immune to electricity. That's what I wanted to verify. Anyway, if I want to pop them real quick, I'll just rip Barda, or use regular Barda if they're out of range. Look at that, me using basic techs. This poor boss is about to get deleted. I was actually trying to get hit right as the cutscene happened there to heal. Disappointing it didn't happen. I mean, I guess I can lightning. Mostly just when I crowd control the spinners. But this should basically be GG. As long as we all stick together for the most part, it's pretty easy to dodge this series of attacks. We just all stick together and decide to go to the opposite side of wherever we're standing. Or, you know what, the boss might not get a chance. Oh, I'm actually doing Barda damage. We're gonna take some damage here. I'm gonna heal the team. Because everybody's on the same side and didn't move. That's fine. Now I could choose to go over here more to dodge if I want to. Not bad. I'm gonna walk up, Galore, laugh at the boss. Oof. Poor falls. Right, chat? Rip. That's out of the way. So this is probably the most commonly run one. Usually higher level players will carry lower level players. I figure it's worth mentioning from that standpoint. I'm gonna check once that it drops out next time I get a chance. Hey, I got a tri-fluid, just like an ultimate, chat. Some things never change. That's actually so sad. Thought I was hitting confirm there, but it's not registering. I mean, to me, this is not any different than an ultimate run. Oh, I like that ... from Dangotron. And then I want to showcase a very short, small quest that involves Pink ID. I think this is where I could get, like, the earliest scepter consistently. So for people looking to get a few of those for your forces, we'll show a very quick and a very dumb hunt. It does not require anything other than doing Forest. I'm going to switch characters for it. Now, sadly, because I'm playing Fomarl, her stats will not let me one-shot the enemies. But it would be preferable if you had either like a ranger do it, or technically like a Fonuman. The run is very fast using text. That's also fun. I might as well hand in the quest. Why not? Some money. Oh boy, we got the item promised. Escape doll acquired. We did it. Teamwork. Anyway, I'm gonna switch characters. One of my Pink ID characters. In this run, I was mostly just doing to get things like an easy, consistent stink frame reset. Didn't even pick it up. Damn. Parameter is like, you know what? You keep your bonus item. We're just gonna pick one of our Pink characters. Doesn't really matter for very hard mode showcases. Let's go ahead and do same episode. So this is more of a niche hunt. So we're gonna do a mix of like popular and niche, so that way it isn't just like run CTF all the time. I want to give some options, since the prompt was a little more generic. We're going to be doing Forest 1 here. This will be the last episode 1 quest that I would say we would potentially do, either while leveling or going into 80. That team's still gaining some levels. We're going to go to Maximum Attack 1 version 2. So basically we're looking to... Where you see it in my Fomaro now. Make sure to mash through the dialogue there so we can proceed with the test. So basically, we're just clearing up to a very specific point in Forest. So every time we fight a wolf, it is a chance for Fire Scepter Igni, which is really good for newer forces. So especially if you're if you haven't picked it up, which sometimes happens, especially if you're getting rushed from like normal to very hard. You're looking to just pick up the Fire Scepter, which is definitely the strongest of the bunch. This is the quest I would do. I would also do this if I was looking to do things with Stink Frame, which is component armor. So sadly, I don't one-shot there. Not playing that character. Also, oops, underfoot. So basically, at some point, we need to come into this room. This room has a really good series of enemies to get the things. And funny enough, we're almost done with the run. It's a very short run. We're basically ending in the next room. And we don't care about the Gobumas. We want the Gigaboomas, which are the purple ones. There, yeah. Yeah, these are the ones that drop. Essentially what you're looking for. This is like a series of them here. Technically, you can also check the boxes if you're looking for or other things. We're like halfway done with the run. I might as well just do a box check. Hello, Hildebear. Yeah, Hildebear is optional to kill, I usually... I'm trying to remember if there's anything this way of interest. We're gonna look very briefly, chat. I don't think this is it. No. So, team can clear that if they want. It can kill enemies while I discuss things. The one thing I want to make sure that we do is that I believe we have to go this way. And the reason we want to go this way for the hunt, they can kill that for XP while we're doing other things. The reason we want to go this way is because of these Gigaboom. I was looking for this. So basically, this room is just a ton of them. It's a ton of wolves. So these things will likely get you something nice. Oh, who put the Hildebeer's head on the floor? I'll go pick that up if the team doesn't want it. So between all the Savage Wolves, potentially giving you Igni and Gigaboomas for the Stink Frame, generally it only takes a couple runs to get those items. Like, I'm surprised nobody has seen one so far, because there's a lot of Gigaboomas. Rip the Hildebeer head wherever it is. Gonna go back for that HP material. Okay, nice, you'll grab it. So, at this point, we only have like a couple more rooms that are worth clearing, so we can kill these for extra chances at getting the Igni, but these are the last points where you get the Stink Frame, so we don't even need to go any further in the quest. So once we see the Hill Delts after this, we know we're done with this quest. It's a very short quest. It's not a bad reset quest, and as I said before, if you're looking for Igni and Stink Frame, I just kind of combine them in one run. Like, I take like another minute or so to get them. But technically the run is over, because I don't think there's anything else in this room that spawns, and the rest of the floor is not worth clearing. That's it. That's just a short little reset quest. We'll clear out the room, but otherwise we're done. I believe that concludes all of the episode 1 things that I would say are run while leveling. I don't think I missed anything. We're gonna go ahead and switch back to Blue ID. Blue ID is going to be used quite a lot in very hard mode because of how strong it is. Although, before I do that, make sure to pick up the Hildebeer head. Don't need that. We're gonna go ahead and swap back in. Now, the reason we want to do Blue ID here is specifically because Jaya is actually so common in this run that it makes it sometimes worth running. So if you don't have like super endgame gear and you do want a Jaya, there's a quest called Cow's Clock Challenge on episode 2, which is ridiculously good. So if anybody has like a Hell Needle, this is like the quest where it just absolutely devastates everything, and the XP is phenomenal. Now we're doing it in multiplayer, so they'll have decent-ish dark resist, but honestly, most enemies will have 60 EDK or less. Some of them have only 20. So if you have any V502, it's basically GG. Just want you to know, like, you are going to absolutely stomp this quest on very hard mode. This is a pretty valid quest to do on Pink ID and Ultimate, I'll just mention. But, wow, this quest is pretty good. Did check 4 quests in Jungle North, 1 government mission, PW1, so lost Phil. Yeah, if you know where the reset is in Phantasmal World 1, maybe? I think that might work. So I'm gonna be a force, so I could basically just Megat spam. And or I'm just gonna buff the team for damage. Does anyone want to borrow Hell Needle? Maybe. I can't use it as this character, though. But this run is very good for solo leveling. I recommend this for sure if you have an advanced character, but honestly, just clearing the first few areas of this place is still pretty strong. I'm gonna go to Cow's Clock Challenge. It's somewhat difficult to clear it early on until you have better gear, but this is also a great quest to do for unsealing. It's really great for things like getting holiday wrappies. Oh, okay, no worries then. So from that standpoint, it's good to know how to do this on all difficulties, but very hard mode, it's run specifically more for Jaya chances. So there are, let's count together, chat. In episode 2, the Jaya chances from this quest are 1 from Hildebeer, 1 from Oblily, 1 from Indy Belra, 1 from Arlen, then you also get a Brave Hammer. The next area has a Brave Hammer from Savage Wolf, it has a Jaya in Barbus Wolf, it has a Jaya in Pan Arms, it has a Jaya in Dub Chicks, it has a Jaya in Gill Chicks. Then in the next area it has a Jaya in Merla, a Brave Hammer, Flowen's Frame, which is okay, another Brave Hammer on Olgibbon, a Jaya on Zolgibbon, And then for the final area, it has Cenozoa Jaya, Cenozel Jaya, technically his attribute wall, and that's the last of the interesting runs. So this quest is very dumb. The longer you could do it, the more Jaya chances you can get. And while it's not something you might use immediately in very hard mode, saving up money in order to do this quest is pretty silly. Yeah, for the most part, I'm just looking to one-shot everything. You'd see most enemies, even in multiplayer, have between 30 and 60 EDK. Even without having like a V5 unit, these enemies just die insanely fast. So in terms of XP, even if the team doesn't have a Hell Needle, it's still really fast, as long as you got a little bit of Hell. Everything dies to you. Although I think somebody has a Hell Shotgun. I'm seeing it used in the corner, I think. But I mean, you can just see, like, the pure speed at which you can clear this quest is kind of insane. Like, look at this. We're on very hard mode. We're getting 100 XP a second on very hard mode. On not episode 4, I would just like to state. So this XP is, like, actually legit. So I would recommend this for sure. If you have any advanced gear or any kind of hell, it is fantastic. And as I said before, you're going to get a decent amount of chances at Jaya throughout the quest. I'm going to go ahead and put down a Convoy to maybe interrupt them. So I believe I've got Technique on. I do. So I should have max Megid. Although, wait, let me check. I do not actually. 1% shy. So it could be 2% more efficient Megid. That's fine. Most enemies will die nearly instantly. You can still ATP, attack things down. But yeah, we can get pretty far in this quest and get a decent amount of drops. If we're also looking at just, you know, holiday potential, which is something you could do over Terrell's Ego, or also as an alternative potentially to picking up badges, although a bit riskier because of the time limit booting you out of the quest. I think this quest is a good thing for players to know about, even if they can't use it right away. It's a fantastic quest to start to learn. I don't know most of the positions on it, so I'm probably going to make it look more difficult than it is. Don't mind me, I'm just going to be Megid spamming. Like 69%, I got like a 29% because I don't have quite Megid 30. Killing instantly. I'm still going to go for it. And that's like the enemy that's usually basically immune. So just to give context, we're going to go to a new area now that we've cleared all the waves. As I said before, it's good XP. Well, like, these guys have 40 death resistance, so I have a 60% chance. There's somewhere between a 40 and... Or, yeah, I have somewhere between, like, a 60 and a 30-ish% chance at insta-killing every single thing in this area with just the Force. Like, they have 90 resist, so, like, these are the guys I'd have to care about a little more, I guess. You know, I'll just freeze those guys solid. Everything else, just oops all me good. You know what, surprisingly, we have not seen a Jaya drop on my screen. Considering there's like 5 billion enemies that drop it. It's like a 1 in 200. It's not even like bad, given how many things that we kill on like 4 or more targets. So, a little disappointed we haven't seen a Jaya drop, but yeah, chat saying they saw at least 30. Or 3, I mean. I mean, it feels like 30 sometimes. Yeah, there I lost a 60% chance on the wolf. That was kind of sad. You can see it. Just, it's very fast-paced. It's decent XP. We get a little slower here, just because these enemies are a little more awkward than the others. And from an XP standpoint, some people just do up to Temple and reset. That's perfectly valid. But if you just want to continue the quest, there's really no downside to it, honestly, for XP. Everything is exploding. There we go. I'm gonna freeze all the targets for Chad. Their life easier. Yeah, the later areas definitely get more hard, and I would say they're less worth doing, because there's not really a huge advantage to it. I would say probably wouldn't go beyond Spaceship most of the time, which is the area we're in currently, if just playing alone. Temple is super good to reset, though. It's not very hard. You can even check for rare enemies there, but on very hard mode, there's not too much of interest, sadly. Getting absolutely bodied right now. enemies. Bonk. Bonk. It's like a one-touch killing. Kinda nice. Heal with you real quick. Nice level ups for the team. Get some freezes in there. You can see it can be pretty chaotic, but very rewarding. I'm gonna go ahead and spam Robarda. Buff the team up a little more. Gotta get that power material before we end here. This is also why potentially having an item reader is super recommended, or else I would have missed that. The grinders and other things. So fortunately we have mapitem.txt added to our main folder, so we can highlight them with colors, but that's not a default behavior from the game. Quality of life thing you can add. Unidentified 20 hit? See, there you go. So 30 hit Jaya is not bad. It's not gonna sell for like a ton, but like, you could use that on like Cube to seal pretty easily. Especially if you're just looking for general hunter items. Oh, hello. Oh, look at that. You don't have accurate. You don't have insta-death on us. We're good. The leaf can't miss. Truth. Yeah, like, these guys have a 20% chance of me killing them, but I'm still gonna throw it out there, because it's better than me doing other things normally. That feeling when 50% but can't land. There we go. We want to equip our weapon here just to spam more Megid. But technically I could be using Hell Handgun if I wanted to. Not what I wanted to Megid. That feeling of failing the 50-50, that was brutal. Brutal failure, chat, one day. Thank you. I'm gonna stun lock for the team, let the team do some damage here. This is where it starts to get pretty difficult without having more than one person. That's why I usually stop it. Spaceship if I'm doing solo. Or for more Jaya, I sometimes just keep it on Temple. We're doing phenomenal time-wise. 15. Yeah, this enemy I just can't kill, sadly. Some things never change. I'm gonna spam Robarda to stun lock everything. Oh wait, the team can just deal with this. I'm gonna act as the team's portable freeze round. Reapply some buffs. Heal up. I kind of wish that this one restored your TP in between areas. I will say that makes me a little sad. Oh, that reminds me, there is another very hard mode quest we could do. I forgot. Oops, silly me. I just remembered it just now. We were talking about the quest list right before the stream, but I forgot like one of the classic episode 4 quests. How could I forget Beyond the Horizon, chat? We'll also probably show off a little bit of, Hopefully will correct me if I'm wrong, I always forget. Is it New Mop-Up Operation 3? I think? The one we usually do for Vices and all the other nonsense. Beta says, hey, question, my first character is Romarl. Was a good section I should pick right now. I'm thinking of Greeno. Any other suggestions? Green is pretty solid. Purple's pretty solid. I would say it's kind of a toss-up between that for your first characters. No. Not MA4B. That's already on the list. I'm talking about solo Faux Newman dominates silly Pyrogorons. Okay, there we go. I knew how Cleve would know. I just had to frame it. Also, I should probably not go Faux here. My bad. I don't have a freeze trap or anything for them. I believe in you though, chat. Ouch. Back to me, get spam. Seriously? Okay, Yeah, I mean, we're going to be doing a larger section ID video coming up. I haven't come to all my conclusions yet, other than purple is pretty solid. The reason being, in general, like, you will get things like red ring on green ID. I don't super recommend it from, like, a looking for a pure value perspective. It also has access to V502 as this purple ID. Like, both of them are fine. You'll probably end up having one of both, to be honest. Like, I like the purple ID episode 2 late game, but, like, that's not something you worry about on your first character. Like, green ID has basically everything you want. As, like, a self-found. It's got, like, parts of Baran's, V101, I think maybe Spread Needle. But most of the time, you're gonna need at least one or more IDs. So most people that usually ask that question don't realize, like, how split up the items are. At least you could still get things like Galatine and Cannon Root. But you still need to have another ID for things like Excalibur or Daylight Scar, potentially. I cannot believe that worked. Yeah, I also think Blue ID Ranger is pretty good, honestly. It's one of those things where it's like, it's very oh, there's a very annoying amount of Del beaters going on. It's very subjective, like, what quote-unquote is, like, clearable. The best way I would put it is if it's, like, a really strong tower ID, generally you'll play that on Ranger over other things. So, like, I'd be more inclined to play White ID on Ranger than other IDs. Not that other IDs couldn't do it, just because I want to take advantage of, like, harder areas, but I want to have a character that can do everything. Which we're probably going to time out on the quest, but I think we did a good job. All things considered. This place is a mess without optimized gear. What an absolute mess. We did clear the stage at least. We got to tower, I think. Yeah, this one is horrendous. So this one is a big troll. Basically, I have to stand on the switch to keep it open, so somebody's like your designated switch guardian. Tower offers nothing of interest for Jaya. So at this point, this is just clearing it to show off. Like, if somebody stands on the switch... Oops. Fortunately, I'm a force, so I could just hit the whole room, so I should probably be the one that's there. I so rarely see what the rest of this room looks like, to be honest. Other than I just get sat on by Gibbles, which is sad. You do that so team can get through more easily. This is going to be my point of view for like 80% of the run with the tower. We're somehow getting time back, so we are killing pretty quickly here. That's good. I can't hit the miracles, team. You're on your own on this one. I could grants that one, maybe? Oh my gosh, when they just did damage and didn't insta-kill, what a feeling. That is so sad that that just punishes the person on the switch. Oh no, I got hit by a kill that I couldn't see. That really sucked. Oh, I need somebody on the outside dealing with these. There we go. Goodbye, timer. Yeah, so sadly, Force is not really going to do much here. I could try to use Foe every now and then. This is where I wish I had my Glide Divine to help the team out significantly. Probably going to die to insta-death at some point here. I don't think I really have a choice in the matter. I'm trying to hit them with Gafoe, maybe, with stacks. Just Epsilon immediately on me, cool. Oh, that's right, it teleports to each player. Oh, that's cute. It's cute. Well, we're probably gonna time out on this enemy, to be honest. He's outside my range. Yeah, GG, I think. GG. I'm okay with that. So I ended up getting like 50,000 experience. It slows down as you go through like tower because the enemies just take longer to kill. That's just kind of unfortunate. But we got to show off that quest. That's all I really want there. Let's see, what's up next on the list? We did CCC. Well, we could do a group run as a joke. I'm sure chat will love joke runs. Normally you do this in single player. This is an important quest to know for basically very hard mode and ultimate, and that's Phantasmal 3 box runs. Though funny enough, you do this box run more for like the amplifier of Gafoi, or not Gafoi, for Rafoi, Spirit Garment, and Jaya. But also if you're playing Pink, which is probably what ID you're going to be when you play a Force if you're going through self-found routes. That's a lot of money we just earned, actually. This is a good way just to get your techniques. So I would recommend you pick something like Skyly or Purple, which potentially gives you really good common weapons for Caliber and Mech Gun. But when you're playing a Force and you need techniques for the difficulty that you're in, this is the run to do. Technically, you could do another thing, which we'll talk about a little later in episode 4, but this quest is pretty universal. So I think we're covering a good basis. We have, you know, somewhat advanced runs, some simple runs, we have some more niche runs. This is also good for gathering money. We're going to show you one other money gathering quest. And basically, it's kind of personal preference, because technically one is more efficient than the other, but it really just depends on playstyle. We're going to go ahead and go to very hard. So from our standpoint, this run usually requires at least a little bit of Hell or Megid. Otherwise, you can brute force down things with ATP. So this might be something you come back to until like later in the difficulty, or once you get, or potentially trading like a Hell handgun with a little bit of accuracy should let you do with it. So surprisingly, the area pattern here is really, really good. It's 4-4-3, which is better than a lot of areas in Ultimate. What that means is that if it rolls a stat, it has a high chance of, well, it has a potential, not it has a high chance, but it has a potential of rolling all the way up to 90 unteched with the 4s. The 3s, I think it could go as high as 60, which is fine. I don't recall the exact percentage offhand other than it is lower. But otherwise, if you got ATP or got some Megid, you can just clear the first couple of routes here. We'll showcase what you need to do in case an interesting item pops up there. So we cleared boxes in the first room. We'll show the theoretically what you would need to do. Believe it or not, for the most part, you're almost done with the run. So if you need some money for your Jaya adventures, this is one way you can make money. We'll be showing, I think, 2 other methods to make money. Our little very hard mode compilation. Then after that, chat, we'll probably play just a little touch of Ultimate. I should have waited. Okay. I'm glad that Rafoi did not pop anything for some reason, but we'll take that. Yeah, just lots of armors, potentially some techniques. Sadly, nothing of interest. So you just reset here. But let's say you had an item of interest. Oh. Oh, maybe chat already killed those. Normally there's squids in that room. Yeah, I think chat's is moving on. But let's say there was an interesting item in those boxes. Maybe it's a photon drop. Maybe it's the amplifier of Rafoi on Pink ID. If you have to do that, you can go this way. And we can go reach the other set of boxes. Now, this quest is sometimes run all the way to completion in Ultimate. But for the most part, I mostly know it as the box reset run. If we go back here, we'll be 1 room away from that other set of boxes in case something interesting dropped for you. So just be careful, because this area can be very difficult to deal with unless you have some good stats. Hoping it would die before it reached me. It was close. So this might be a little harder for newer players, so I'm just going to put a little caveat. Without Hell and decent ATP, Del Beater plus Morphos there can be kind of annoying. Otherwise, if you have a Zalor, you can bully the Spinners or the Morphos pretty easily. Yeah, so you would just come this way if you, for whatever reason, saw something of interest over here. Nothing of interest here, so we'll move on. That's the end of the run. You don't complete the run in that scenario. Up next, we'll do, I guess, a red ID run. So I'm gonna switch into different character. You can also just telepipe out, sell your items, whatever you need to do. But now we're going to showcase more of the... I'm going to say mostly a female focus item. But let's say you have, for example, a Hunural or a Hugh Casil, or any other character that would potentially benefit from something called Love Heart. You need a very good garment in order to go with it. For the run that I did to get a good garment for some of the stuff that I do end up using, I do so in a quest called Phantasmal World 4. So this is another kind of hard quest. This is not something you would casually do, but it's something you would potentially go back to in very hard mode. Now, technically it is clearable when you're first here, especially if you have a ranger. Kind of take your time with it. But basically, we're playing up until we fight the Gipples, and that's literally it. Yeah, we're not doing anywhere near the full run. Don't worry about that. So this reset is used for a whole bunch of things across different difficulties. Like, for example, Sky ID and Ultimate resets this room, potentially, over and over up until the Gaiguis. We're gonna just reset it basically on the other ones. Might be worth to reiterate. What is it worth reiterating? Yeah, this is that while the rest of us are low level or Gira stacked, that is true. Worth mentioning again. This is one you would kind of take your time with. So this is where you would potentially have decent-ish gear. I would say CCC Temple is pretty easy, comparatively. Phantasmal World 3 might be a little difficult. You don't have Hell, and you need to do the other room. This one is kind of annoying. You have to know the Ilgil is going to spawn here, I would say. But, like, you just got to make sure that you lock them down. So that could be with freeze traps. It could be with Robarda spam. There's a lot of outs, especially if you're with a group of people. You want to check as many boxes as you can as you play. And generally speaking, if you're not sure where to go, just stay along the outside to avoid being jumped. Welcome, Chris. So believe it or not, that's basically it. Oh, look, chat found the spirit garment. Congratulations. Chat, let's have a little clap. You found the actual item we were talking about. See that? Sometimes it's as easy as completing the run once. So what I like to do is I like to take a look at the other side. Technically, we're done with the run. But the reason I do that is I want to check these boxes. That's it. There we go, run's over. We don't do anything else with the run. Chat can kill stuff. So there you go, just casual drop. So let's switch characters again. Let's talk about... There's a quest I want to try on stream. Let's put this as it could be good. Let's confirm. So there's a quest I used once in order to get all of the elemental scepters. So let's say you don't want to go through forest, caves, mines, ruins in order to get your assortment of canes, and you're playing purely a self-found character. In those scenarios, there is one quest that you could do in multiplayer that is not bad for that. But note, it's probably worth trading over doing this quest. This is for people more interested in self-found. We're going to show you some other quests after this one, which are fantastic for all characters. Let's get the niche run out of the way, since I need to be this character anyway. So we're going to do a government quest, and this will probably be the only one that I mention. I think we gotta all gather around, so it does not matter if you've played the story mode or not, as we're just doing 9-1. We're gonna come over here to this teleporter. We all have to report to the principal. We have to go to the principal's office. It was 0 slot. The slot doesn't matter, the stats matter. Slotting it is easy. If it rolled like max, then you're like good. Yeah, slots are easy to fix, stats can't, exactly. Close. So we'll wait for Dango in the principal's office. Look at that, Dango casually getting some XP. Hopefully you're doing well, Chris. We'll celebrate with some ultimate runs after this. We're just going through a chat request currently. I guess I'll give an honorable mention to Road to Nowhere if people are looking to do Heart of DV Saber. Yeah, we're all in trouble. So mashing is the correct thing to do there. There we go. How many red ranks did PGS's Dango found today? Technically 1? Oh, sorry you didn't sleep great. This quest has a ton of Buddhas, which is the most important thing for looking for Igni. However, it has an okay amount of Buddhas of other varieties. So while you're not going to run this quest for XP, you will just clear the quest in order to get a Fire Scepter. So let's see if we get a Fire Scepter casually playing through this quest. Like, the first couple of rooms are also not too bad from a reset perspective. Something to keep in mind. Every single one of these regular Buddhas gives Fire Staff. Every other Buddha gives a different type of Elemental Staff. It can also give you Photon Crystals, which is common across all of them, Cursed Cloak, Congealed Cloak, and Heavenly Mind. I think Heavenly Mind is a pretty solid pickup. It's not the focus of this run, but if you're just looking to make like a whole bunch of forces, you might incidentally get what you need by doing this quest on Pink ID. Now there's a couple other quests you could do instead on Pink ID if you're just looking for XP and money, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. But purely for the Fire Scepter, which is super important that you get. If you don't do it in Forest with the reset runs we showed earlier, this is the other way. I would probably do it. So I think from that perspective, I might even just... I wonder if it'd be worth just resetting. Maybe it'd be worth resetting right before we hit this wave. Because if you kill like 14 Buddhas back to back, that's not terrible. Potentially you could use another quest for it, but there's only like 6 early on the reset, which isn't as good. Whatever, we'll take that HP material. Get rid of these enemies, nice level up. Now this XP is kind of low just because the enemies are spread out. But on the plus side, it's easier for newer players that are not as geared. So take it as you will, I suppose. What would work better for your comp? I would recommend, though, if you have at least 1 force, or potentially 2 forces, there's another quest after this that we'll be running instead. And then we'll talk about if you're running Oops All Forces, there's a really great quest for that, too. I can see a laser gate over there. I could check the boxes for the sake of checking the boxes. I got rewarded for checking the boxes. Right, chat? That is about as rewarded as you can get. Like, okay. Take that. So, daily reminder, do not skip boxes. Please just pop them with Rafoi or something. Anyway, let's move to the next area. So we have a few episode 4 quests to talk about. This will help the team level up a little bit more. This will be as thanks for the team helping me through this, while still getting to level their characters. Sadly, there's a lot of dead area in this quest, which is what I was worried about. So I think what I would do, I'd probably recommend a reset. We'll play the quest to completion in case there's like a crazy wave. But I think at least going up to the second room right before we fought the equivalency, I think was actually worth it. Right now, I would say it's in the not worth it territory. So I would feel confident in saying doing reset runs there would be fine for Igni. Just you won't get as much benefit from like Cursed Cloak potentials. Although this room isn't bad with Buddhas. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and shut this whole area down. Tell them to pack their bags. If we're just looking for Rappy rares, there are slightly better quests for that. There's actually quite a few quests that technically qualify for that. We'll put an asterisk there. So we're going to use one run as a baseline, because we're going to talk about all the reset points in the quest. I do recommend heavily, if you have a player with Blue ID, that you play Episode 4 postpartum Blue ID. There's one exception we're going to talk about and showcase first, before we go into some more generic runs. Yeah, just hear a Yahoo. Yeah, that's from the song. Uh-oh, somebody's not playing Final Fantasy 7. You just outed yourself. Busted. You're going to Final Fantasy jail. Yeah, like, see this stretch of wall? Not worth. But hey, at least we learned something. We'll complete the quest, because it was there. Final Fantasy 7 was mid anyway. I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of agree. Overrated very heavily. Yeah. I don't even think it's in my top 5. Be real with you. I would 100% play 2, 4, 6, and 10 before 7. No contest. Not in any particular order, I just named them. I would never play 1 again. I probably would never play 3 again. I didn't really enjoy 5. I understand why people like it, but I didn't enjoy it. I don't like leveling the classes. Yeah, it's just like, when you grow up playing something like Valkyrie Profile on the same console, it's like, why would I ever play Final Fantasy 7? Where's the love for 9? I hated the art of that game. I could not get over it, and I decided not to play it. I would say from personal taste, I dislike the art so heavily, I will never play that game. I don't like chibi art. I'm sure the story is good. I do not feel like staring at those characters for an extended period of time. Just, I have no comments on the plot. I just went, you know what? I don't think this is gonna be a game for me. Like, I would rate 7 over 12. Yeah, like, I can tolerate it on, like, handheld. I just, on a PS1, I'm like, come on, seriously? Please use a different art style. Not impressed. I did not like 8 at all. At least I had some fun playing 7. So I'd probably rate 8 lower than 7. I really did not like the draw system at 8. That 100% ruined the game for me. And I'm like, you know what? I just don't feel like using abilities ever, or learning about the GF system. There's kind of an awkward abbreviation. Oh, there we go. Look out, it's Nay. He's got her claw. Dramatic zoom in. So yeah, we'll complete the quest for the sake of completing it. We're having a side conversation. What are you doing here? Buff everybody. Yeah, I never really played the later ones after that, so I don't have any comments on the main series. I never played 13 for the spin-offs, or 14, or 15, or 11. I will never play 1 again. I'm way over that game. That game drilled into my dislike of random encounters. The game really burned me out hard. That and Dragon Quest / Dragon Warrior 1. Like, jeez, I took 3 steps. I was like, come on. Really, again? I play Radiata stories? No. Out, Chad. It's another cameo. Hey, look, it's the character I definitely don't kill every time I play Phantasy Star Story. He's definitely here and alive, and definitely did not die in the caves? Question mark? I definitely don't have a Soul Eater on GameCube. It's not Kirik. I was gonna say, not Kirik's in the chat. not here. What about Grandia? I thought it was interesting. I don't know if it's held up. I never owned that game. How do you get at our lobby? It's full. Good one, I like that. I don't know. As I said before, I just don't really like a lot of turn-based games. They're too simple. It's like the thing that redeems those in my eyes is the shortness of the game. So it's like more tolerable. If you're not going to offer me more advanced things, I don't really want to be playing a 80-hour RPG. I'm sorry, that's turn-based. I feel like 2 was the perfect length. Or, technically 4. I was thinking US 2 for a moment. I think 4 was like the right length for me, where it was like, I didn't really grind it all, and I just did every area and then completed the game. I don't remember grinding it all in that game. It was just start to finish. Kill whatever I saw, and that's all I needed to do. To make sure I was at the right level for like Ashura and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's like 6 I think went on a little too long. I like 6, but man, the World of Ruins just kind of dragged. There's some areas in it that I think made it a bit more interesting for me, but it also had a lot of mechanics I did not like. Like, I enjoyed the Tower of Magi challenge. I did not enjoy the arena. Example. Or excuse me, the Colosseum, I think it's called. Find material, don't care about that. I don't know, maybe one day we'll play Grandia. I remember it had things I thought were interesting at the time. Like, I remember bumping into like a shelf and it knocked something over and the NPCs commented on that. Like, I thought that was really cool. I still think that's like an example of stuff you still don't see in a lot of RPGs. Where you can interact more with stuff around you. Normally it's just kind of a button mash fest. Surprise Dwarfon, rip. Just GG. Outplayed, I guess. What about Golden Sun? I was not into Golden Sun. It was okay. I played it on car trips, and that was the extent. So I played most of the first game, and then I was like, I don't think I'll get the second game. Oh, there's the Fire Scepter. There we go. At least we got to see on a run would we actually get it if we cleared it. I think we're at the end of... Yeah, we're at the end of... Oh. So we could just exit out now, technically, even if we wanted to. Here. As I said before, I just don't find, like, turn-based games that interesting in general. I just don't think they do enough. There's a lot of stuff where it's, like, a lot of out-of-combat thinking. But, like, in-combat thinking is kind of low. We'll view the cutscene for the sake of viewing the cutscene. I love the party moving in the cutscene. There we go. Team trying to go through the barrier. You gotta talk to the female officer if you want to clear it, technically. You'll get teleported out. I think that's the last we'll see of Pink ID. A very hard mode. Do I talk to the principal to clear the quest? I think. Maybe you next. There we go. Now I cleared it. You did it. What about Star Ocean Until End of Time? Oh, is that the one on the PS2? That was one of my least favorite games of all time. Star Ocean Second Story was okay. I would maybe play that one. My firm dislike of Star Ocean, maybe we'll tell that story as we go through this one. That game was one of the most disappointing games I have ever played. I cannot tell you how hard of a whiplash I had with that game at the plot twist of that. I was like, it better not be what I'm thinking it is. And then it gets further in the game and I'm like, are we really doing this? And then they did it, and I was very disappointed. I'm just gonna say, chat, there's a genre of things I don't like in stories. One of them is when characters become self-aware that they're in a game. 2, anything involving clones. 3, if they bring back villains and main characters like yo-yos, reviving people. And I will leave it ambiguous enough that Star Ocean did one of those, and I was very, very, very disappointed. I was just like, man, I just don't care that it has that stuff. I almost never see those stories done well. I'll hate Final Fantasy IX then? Probably. I mean, I couldn't get past the art. So for me, it's already bottom. Let's do a different quest. So let's talk about a specific run. This is probably the only time I'm going to talk about a heart of item where it's like kind of worth running. And we can use this quest to showcase a couple of resets. So blue ID is probably best here. Red ID is good if you're going for the thing we're about to do now. I really just really don't like clones. It's my favorite genres of RPGs. I mean, just don't have clones. Or don't do, like, oh, we're secretly in a game. Isn't that radical? And I'm like, no, because then I just don't care about your character anymore. I'm not... The 90s did that a lot with the digital stuff. Where they're like, oh, you know, digital monsters. There were people going into the digital world or whatever. So I hate Star Wars Episode 2. That was a very boring movie. That was one of the only movies I have ever paid money to go see and fell asleep. I was that bored. I was like, I woke up for like the only relevant scenes in that entire movie, and I'm like, it's fine. If I was not with family, or if I was older at the time, I probably would have left the theater and gotten a refund. Dare you speak ill of the digital monsters? Just don't care about that genre. It's like, okay. I can tolerate Digimon. I don't know if I can tolerate some of the games that do that. Like, I don't think I'll ever enjoy something like a dot hack where you're like playing a character in universe. Oh, so speaking of resets real quick, if you're looking for ultimate resets, technically you just kill these Rappies here and move on. Now from our standpoint, we're gonna do the entirety of the surface. But if you're looking for techniques or just general armors to sell, clearing these first few waves is pretty strong for a very hard mode across a couple of, basically blue ID, red ID. Yeah, like you can reset here, or you could kill the satellite lizards if you're a force. It's also not a bad way if you're not like a super advanced force. Like, let's say you do have Gafoi, you have like a couple people that are on the weaker end. This quest is pretty good for XP. It's just like one of those things. But yeah, I will never play Star Ocean until the end of time. I had like the harshest whiplash of the plot reveal. I literally just, I let the cutscene play. I turned off the PlayStation 2. I never went back to it. I didn't even save after the reveal. I was like, and done. It's like in that order. Kid me had enough, chat. I'm like, listen, even then I did not enjoy that genre. I've never played Skies of Arcadia. I can't answer that question. I don't know what kind of game it is. I know it's on GameCube. That's my extent of the knowledge. Yeah, like I'll play more like a Tales, I'll play a Valkyrie Profile. I like more active combat. I like games that have like grid-based, turn-based. Like Tactics isn't bad, like Final Fantasy Tactics. I think things like Disgaea are fine. I just don't want to do regular menu fights unless there's a way to quickly go through combat. It's like Suikoden hits like everything you need to do to make me enjoy that kind of system, which is like really fast combat and skippable encounters, which not a lot of those games do, especially the older ones. Like, please let me skip encounters if you're gonna make me do turn-based combat. That is like the least interesting thing about the combat, or those games. I'll take Chad's word for it. I don't own the game. Never played the game. Those Skies of Acadia I cannot stay, one way or another. So yeah, some people play up to this point and reset as well. Whether you clear the Satellite Lizards reset, you can do the Rappies reset if you're just looking for items. Let's say you're fishing for ultimate items, and you can't kill anything, you just spook the Rappies, and that's fine. It was talking about struggling through ultimate in the request. Otherwise, we have a lot of, if we do C, which is the reason we're doing C, specifically for Red ID, while leveling, if you're interested in the cosmetic, this is probably one of the few cosmetics that also has, like, good items to get as you play. But we're basically just going to do the surface portion of this. After this, we're going to do the one that's used start to finish to level people, which will be B. And we'll be doing that on Blue ID. Although, honestly, Purple ID is also pretty solid, and Red ID, I think, is also fine. If you're looking for alternates, those aren't bad, but Blue is definitely the preference, due to the sheer number of Photon Crystal defenses, and also Ignition Cloak, and also Heavenly Arms, and also Heaven Striker Coat. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm just like, nah. I mean, think about it this way. Like, I love Radiant Historia. It's a turn-based game, but there's, like, a lot more that I'm doing during it that makes it interesting to me. I'm doing turn manipulations. I'm stacking for combos. I'm judging whether or not I can survive by giving enemies multiple turns. There's, like, a lot of give and take with it for a turn-based game that it keeps me involved. Whereas the other ones, they just don't. They're too simple. I don't know. Like, they were fine then, I guess. But for me, I'm like, nah, I don't really want to play games like that. I don't feel nostalgic for those at all. I didn't enjoy them growing up. I don't enjoy them now. My opinion has not really changed when it comes to those things. I would say I was more tolerant of them growing up than I am now, I guess, is the only real difference. But the difference, too, is that I've learned speed tech. So where I don't enjoy playing those, if I can play them fast, it's okay. Kingdom Hearts? I don't like Kingdom Hearts. I don't like it as a concept. The plot is a mess. Balancing is weird. Like, I don't have nostalgia for, like, oh, look, guys, it's Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. I don't care. Like, oh no, Chad, it's Leon. But it's like, I don't care about these characters, right? Like, to me, they're kind of an avenue for telling the story in the mediums in which they exist. And that's fine. They go through their own plot arcs. But, like, Kingdom Hearts 1 basically boils down to you are, like, the world's biggest Gary Sue, and you're just bestest buddies with everything, and you were the only person solving all the problems, because you have the power, and you're so super special awesome. That's, like, the equivalency of Kingdom Hearts. Also, there's clones. A million clones in that series. Mechanically, I think it's fine. I think, you know, the second game is probably more interesting mechanically, but, like, unfortunately, it's also to the point where, like, I think I was told, for example, to play up to the, what's it called, the 1,000 Heartless scene in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I, like, begrudgingly did it, and then it was like, wow, it's so cool how you're fighting all these enemies, and then, like, I get there, and it's like, hit triangle to win battle, hit triangle to win battle, hit triangle to win battle, all right. And I'm like, oh, I don't actually fight them, I just action button win every fight? I don't know. To me, that's not interesting. Maybe some people are into it. Like, no thanks. Kingdom Hearts 2 had the I win button, where anytime the prompt appeared, it was basically the thing that would just end the fight every time. So it's okay. I do not have the urge to get up on the Hydra's back, etc., etc. You can't stop a real hero or whatever Hercules spams. Oh, Cursed Cloak. That's an example of an ult item. There we go. We would clear this up, pick up some items, and that is the extent of the reset. So Red ID would do this because they get Heart of items, but it's also not bad to do on the surface. So you might not have enough stats to survive like a Goron Detonator, but maybe enough roll HP to deal with the Gorons. Let's go ahead and switch to, I guess, Blue ID. Let's do a full MA4D run. have no ideas what games I like during the PS1 and PS2 era. There's like hundreds of games. What do you mean? I even named games. PS1. I'm confused. Did you not hear me talking about Valkyrie Profile like a moment ago? Like, those are good RPGs. Like, that's an example. I set the bar really high. I also even mentioned Final Fantasy Tactics. I know I just mentioned games. Disgaea, I mentioned Disgaea. So it's like, when it comes to RPGs, there's a lot that I like. It's just, I don't like the really simple ones. I like the Suikoden series. That's an example between PS1 and PS2. Like 4 different series. I just don't have an interest in simple ones. Eve of Extinction and Robotic Alchemy Drive are PS2 jams. I've never played those. Make a note. Could be worth playing in the future. The Eve of Extinction. What that is. I guess Skies of Acadia. I guess I could look in the future. But things to check out in the future. So we'll do, instead of doing C, which has a lot of door bombs, we're going to do B. Typically, people run this to run kind of an average group. If you can complete this quest without dying, you get a lot of tickets. If you do die, it's still a lot of really good items. But as I said before, like, the 90s had, like, a big obsession with clones, so a lot of those stories, I'm just, like, so done with them. Like, I'm not kidding with you. I don't want to do a clone story. If I played I don't think I would like Souls games. I don't like being hard punished. And Souls is all about, like, learning really specific patterns. Like, they're not hard once you know them, but, like, I don't really want every boss to be, like, a huge grind to learn it. I don't really want to do that. I don't find it fun resetting over and over. Monster Hunter I tried. It could be the one that I played, but I did not get into it. I also didn't have multiplayer access, which is like a big appeal of that game. Doesn't help. It's like, if we're gonna do action games, I'd rather just play something faster, like Sengoku. Or most Capcom action games at the time, I think, were fine. Like, I'll play Onimusha series for sure. You're acting like I know which Monster Hunter it was. It was on PS2. That's all I remember. I returned the game. I don't own the game anymore. I was like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of, like, the really slow wind-up for heals and stuff like that. Tenchu Wrath of Heaven? I'm not super into stealth games. I think I had some fun with that. No, it wasn't bad. I think I beat the first one. Because I remember there's more than one. I prefer Metal Gear, though, comparatively. Although, I don't think I really played that game like a stealth game, to be honest with you. The body count at the end of the game was insane. Yeah, there's a lot of people that play Monster Hunter. I don't know. I felt like PSO 2 copied a lot of stuff from Monster Hunter that I saw, and those were the things that I didn't like about PSO 2, so I don't know how I'd feel about going into it. Won't be anyone who notices if there's no one to notice. I mean, it's kind of true. I know I would just play the demo of Metal Gear Solid 1 and see how long I could last without dying by just killing everything in the helipad. I think 55 minutes was my record. Of just non-stop full alert gunning everything down. It's like, I would just, that's what my enjoyment of the game was. But the plot was also kind of weird. I don't think Kid Me fully understood what it was talking about. I know there are certain characters I did not like because of, oh, we'll leave it at that. But I think that Metal Gear Solid would be a game I would potentially play on stream. I don't think I would play it the way the game intends, and I could probably break that game a little more than other games. Like, I don't think I've ever beaten Sniper Wolf legitimately, I'll be honest with you. Even growing up, she definitely got so calmed. Just saying, chat. I'm like, wait a minute. Although I want to try the speedrun tech where they don't even shoot anything. That would feel satisfying, where she just mysteriously gets wounded off screen. Yeah, this quest we don't really have anything to say. We just go wave to wave as AntaresConvoy. That's basically all horses do in this quest. Yeah, Star Ocean 1 was okay. Or second story, I mean. I like collecting the horrible voices in that game. I enjoyed that more than the plot of the game. Hearing the really cringe-worthy English, and that is something to behold. There could probably be entire sound clips of that game, just because of how bad some of those are. But truly, it was a wonder. Yeah. If Alundra was not so platformer-based, I think I would have liked Alundra. I like really dark stories in general, and Alundra was definitely something I will be playing that probably in October, where it's the right amount of dark, because I like, as I said before, not really like cheerful, bubbly games. They're just not. They don't match what I like, games in general. But I don't want it to be like super grim dark either, so that you could go too far with it for sure. I think Alundra was like on the line, but it was a very dark game, while also providing a lot of interesting metaphors and stuff like that. Definitely a shame about the platforming. So I'll suffer through the platforming to try to beat that game on stream. Yeah, eventually we'll probably play Chrono Cross on stream with Chrono Trigger. Oop. At some point. I don't think if there's any other series. I like the novelty of it, but I don't think it's a good game. I remember Legend of Legaia existing. I did think about that for a moment. I remember having fun discovering like the punch kick combos. Like that's how you get me involved in a game. Give me something to do while I'm fighting, and I will take way more interest in it than just like normal menu-based combat. So I enjoyed that stuff. I'm not sure if I would like Legend of Dragoon. I like the concept of hitting the combos in order to like extend the hits. I don't know if I like doing that for literally every encounter. I don't know about that, because I know if you don't complete the combo, you get like really reduced damage. So for me, it would be like, I don't know. I like it in theory. I wish that was just for like supers, or if I said before, if that was just for timing crits or something a little less dependent. So if I wanted to auto battle, I don't get hard punished. I think that would put me in the game a bit more. Potentially could play something like Super Mario RPG. I remember having fun with that game. And again, it's like the right length of like battles are dodgeable. You know, if they're there, I can choose to do advanced stuff or keep it simple. I think it was like good enough. So there's definitely a lot of RPG-esque games that exist. I like Mystic Quest, but it's like, you know, it's one of those things where I do feel like the dungeon design kind of sucks in a lot of the mainstream RPGs. I've been hearing bad things about the Thousand Years Door. I'm assuming that's what you mean. I've heard nothing but negative things about it since release. People saying like it runs at like 30 frames, the combat is just much slower. There's like new lag that's introduced in like a remake, which makes no sense. I have not heard positive things about that for sure. So who knows? Maybe they'll fix it on console. Question mark. I don't think I really enjoyed the Paper Mario games. It's weird because I like the original game, Like, I think Paper Mario 64 was fine. I liked Mario RPG more than I liked Paper Mario. But, like, I played one of the DS ones, one of the DS Paper Marios. I really did not like that game. It was, like, the Sticker Fan or whatever it was. I really did not like that game. It was very tedious, collecting the stickers. I just basically got to the point where I'm like, okay, what is the minimum amount of time I could do collecting these? Because this is really stupid. I really don't like this mechanic. One like Sticker Star? I mean, it feels like it. So maybe it was just that game in the series, but I can say I really did not enjoy it. Exactly, because I'm like, I just don't want to burn my resources. This is so annoying. It felt like the draw system in Final Fantasy VIII. I'm like, didn't we learn? Make the mistake once and learn. Like, I don't want to go back to that. Yeah, that literally was like such a turnoff. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of RPGs I would play. They're just not usually the mainstream ones, because honestly, they're just overrated. There's so many like hidden gems. There's one game I want to see if it's good or not, if it held up. For me, for example, like Saga Frontier 1 is very jank, and that's like a love or hate. I'm really curious about Saga Frontier 2. I didn't enjoy the PlayStation Pocket integration for combos, but I think in terms of like, at least aesthetics, it's like one of the best looking PlayStation games I've ever seen. And chat already knows I love the Deception series on PlayStation 1. God, that's so good. Deception 2 is the best. It's a shame about Deception 3 being very mid. Oh yeah, that reminds me, we have to play Trapped at some point. I have to see if I can recover my PlayStation account to re-download the game. Since I have not logged in since we did Dragon Crown on stream. Remember that? That was like eons ago. Love Dragon Crown. Yeah. We'll see. And there's some RPGs that I think, you know, if they have a unique combat system, I'm more likely to play it to the end. Like, I played through games like The World Ends With You, I love Ephinea Odyssey, and that's a turn-based game. But because it has so many other things going on, it just has me so much more involved as a player compared to, like, your Final Fantasy. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm mapping, I'm thinking about, like, paths around big enemies, thinking about ways to manipulate, like, the drops. I can choose whether or not to farm. No, there's so much going on with those games comparatively, and that's what I kind of need, a turn-based game of a modern era, where we can do so much better. I'm kind of curious how well this translated onto PC. How about Darkest Dungeon? I think it was okay. I never ended up completing a run, but it was fine for a while. I think the problem with that one is that it does get very punishing after a certain point, where, like, it doesn't want you to use the characters too much, but then, like, if you do use them in order to make sure they're ready for the final area, it makes the game kind of hard. Like, there were certain team comps I think I was okay with, but a lot of that just came down to RNG, which is not my favorite. Where it's like, oh, you got a bad insanity effect? GG, it's over. Your party member is probably just gonna ruin the run instantly. Then there's other runs where it's like, that happens, and then they get the good luck one, and then it's like, oh, well now it saved a run that would normally be destroyed. I don't know, it's kind of lopsided. I thought it was fun. Just not something I think I would do, like, long term. Yeah, I mean, there were certain team comps where, at least on the standard difficulty, I was basically immortal. The only thing I had to worry about was the final dungeon. But there would always be, like, something stupid that would happen on the way there. How's it going? Is there a way to make the game full screen? Yes. It's in the launcher. I'm pretty sure there's an option to make it windowed versus full screen. I always leave it windowed for streaming purposes, though. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, I need to be able to quickly switch between chats and scenes, so if I make it full screen, that can make it more annoying. Mouse control. As well as check the items on the other side here. So there we go, nice clean MAB. Leveling the team a bit more. Got our 10 tickets, nicely done. Yeah, when you go to launch the game itself, not through like the pop-up or login, but the actual launcher that lets you choose your bank and stuff. There's a lot of options for resolution and other settings. Just make sure to hit more if you don't see what you're looking for. Let's do another episode 4 run, because episode 4 has so many ridiculously good quests. We're gonna do, I guess, new mop-up operation 3. Or if he needs to take a break, no worries. But we'll showcase just clearing the quest as is. Sorry, you're going brain AFK, Murphy. If there's anybody who wants to hop in and level a very hard mode character, you're more than welcome. I think Chris was looking to level a character, right? Chris has been watching this time. I think you were talking about before you had a character in your 40s, maybe? Unless we level that character. Thank you, there's also a starter guide. Last time I played was on... Is there a starter guide? We have a series of things. We have a whole playlist talking about different topics. We're going to be doing a section ID one soonish.
You're wide open!
Thank you for the follow. This will hop in. Nice, nice. So I think that's a good place to kind of get started. We have stuff aimed at like self-found players. We're moving into some of the the complicated training ones, and section IDs is probably the most complicated, even though it's one of the most even though it's the most frequently asked thing, it is the most complicated thing to talk about because there's so many things to consider. I find that more hard to talk about than items, for sure. Yeah, we'll be covering most of those topics. So we also have one, I'm going to put a link in, I think, next time for chat requests. Because those are where people are asking, like, what good quests are there to do on Ultimate Green ID or something like that. We go through those kinds of things. Or maybe it'll be like, how is this quest series? We have a more focused start to finish. We're nearly done with the very hard mode. So we have, we're gonna do, I think as I said before, we're gonna do New Mop-Up Operation 3. Then we're gonna do probably Beyond the Horizon, which is a bit expensive, but potentially pays for itself if you just do a little bit of Episode 4. If you plan on trading, just pick Viridian, green, red, or white for your first character. Your first roadblock would be getting your first PDs. I'm thinking about that. Kind of, yes, but no. I think if you're gonna play a hunter, Viridian is probably the best for self-found. I think red is probably one of the strongest IDs for like overall and general hunting with Bo Newman. Green ID is a good mix of different things. White ID is... it's what I call like a value hunt. I don't know if that's gonna get you there for your first character ID. That's where I have... I guess if you're willing to like suffer it out, they're missing a lot of like core items to get you there. Like they don't have a lot of the tradables. Like white ID is what I would consider like a trade ID. for sure. The other ones I think are more fine as a first timer. Like Red ID gets your Heavenly Battles at least. Green ID gets like V101 and Heavenly Battle. Viridian gets really good items across the board outside of V502. Yeah. It just it depends, and that's where I'm gonna have to. That's where I want to be very specific with the section ID, because it's more accurate to say pick a Heaven Striker ID or White ID. It would be like if you want a long-term hunt. Let's do Beyond the Horizon here. Yeah, so it's just like it's kind of one of those yes and no's. Okay, I think we got money, so we're gonna go pay this guy. I don't know where chat's going. We're gonna pay 30,000 to enter the stage. Because honestly, when it comes to like really strong things, I think purple is honestly one of the better ones too, especially for Ranger. Like you don't get like V101 or some of the other things, but like the value of most of your hunts are so high, especially late game areas. White ID has like the advantage of like Terrell's Ego, which is probably the best one in the game. I would agree if you're purely just doing like Terrell Ego resets, it's good, or Tower. But like, I don't really like White ID in most other areas. Like, I think it's really great when you're done with the game and you have all the basics. But like, even then on like a value per value hunt, White ID doesn't come number one as often as you think it would. I would do the add-on 2020 pre-zip. I'll probably just delete the... Well, I'll still leave the old add-on in there for reference, but yeah, you just need the 2023. We have a 2024 one set up, technically. I just need to upload it. This is the one I'm using now. So I had to switch to a new computer months ago. Well, a month-ish ago. Mr. Sass says, happy birthday-ish. Thank you. In 8 minutes, it'll be my birthday. Then it'll officially be the birthday stream. So this quest is all about spamming Gafoli and everybody killing things like Astarks in order for you to get XP. It's a great way to level people. Downside, no items, and if you don't get to a certain point, you don't get your money back. So just be careful. Dying also leaves you out of the quest. However, it's kind of hard to contest this XP outside of another quest we're about to do. Unless you're doing like TTF resets with Dragon, which we showed earlier. At least doing part of TTF would be good. Anyway, I'm just gonna spam here. Deal with these Astarks real quick. Probably go for like another hour. I'm not gonna be able to sleep anyway. I've been having insomnia, so there's no point to me ending at 12 o'clock. I'm not gonna feel tired. So we'll do some ultimate to make up for that, and we'll probably play some more on Wednesday. I think I'm kind of at a point where I have to think about it with a Section ID guide. I originally was gonna do more on Section ID Wednesday, but honestly, it's like, man, going through this list has been really difficult. Like, I'll give an example. Like, one of the best Episode 2 hunts in the game, in general, to get you PDs, is not White ID. So, like, that's where... Like, I think White ID is, like, the best at Episode 1. It's good for grinding your own tower stuff, but I don't think it's, like... From, like, a PDs per second perspective, I don't think White ID's that great. If all you want are, like, Ubers with hit percentage, so you don't have to trade it, that's one thing. But, like, actual trade value, I don't know. It does at least get, like, 13 easily. That's always nice. You know, just get a Brave Man help set up other IDs. Though it's hard to say you'll be in an area where it's, like, the class hunts will be bad. But it's kind of one of those things. Like, you're pretty much hard dedicating. Like, weirdly, I feel like you dedicate more on that than you do Pink ID, your runs. At least so far. Like, I mean, I guess people will do White ID pod, but you won't be doing that for, like, value. I hope you wouldn't be. There's, like, absolutely nothing in White ID Episode 4. Like, so barren. I think they have the worst surface, Episode 4, / Crater, for sure. It's super terrible. Like, just play Red ID instead. It's so much more value. Sky ID is also pretty good with specific quests. That's where it's like, it's very hard for me to say. So that's when we're going to talk about section ID in detail. I'm going to split it into... Oh, you can survive door fun. Yeah, just barely. It's going to be splitting it into like what I'll call value hunts, like people that are just looking for good items in general, especially for trading purpose, versus class hunts. Because I think Viridian is really good for new hunters because they can find everything on their own with Viridian. They can do RT runs, they can do TTF, and they even have good situational episode 4, which is not something they want to do super often, but if they want to host like a Christmas Fiasco episode 4, that's like one of the better ones. If they want to get their Excalibur that way, that's one of the better ways to get it. But it's one of those things where it's like I have to really kind of go through and just kind of like really drill down where do I draw the line between like what quests exists versus like general usefulness of the ID. And it's so subjective that I'm having trouble like coming up with one answer. So, like, I could say definitively, I think so far from what I'm seeing, Red ID is really, really, really strong for forces, start to finish. I was kind of surprised how much was useful for them in Red ID, but if you're playing more of a supportive role, especially Fonu role, I mean, you get Red Saber, you get Crimson Coat, you get Magical Stone Artista, and all these are support items you'd be using as the Force. You get Discover Brave Man, you would use as, like, Fomarl. You get access to things like, potentially, like, I think they get Rambling May? I forget offhand without looking at the chart. They get one of the main female items, which helps with Fonural and Fomarl clears. And then on top of that, they just get, like, fantastic clears in Episode 4, even if the items are aimed at them. The only thing that's kind of like a problem with that is that they don't have an easy access to, like, a Galatine, which would help them out a lot, or Excalibur. And that's where I think, like, when I go to split it and talk about, like, what IDs to pick, I want to make it very clear. There's, like, a first-time ID and then, like, a second-time ID. Because I think you need at least 3 IDs to get every major item in the game comfortably. Where do I start doing missions? If you're in the lobby, you just walk up to the counter, and then you can make a game in one-person mode. Make sure it doesn't say normal. And then you're immediately, if you're in episode 1 and 4, you're immediately in front of the quest counter. It's to your left. Otherwise, episode 2 is, I think, actually also to the left, but it's in the same room that you're in. There we go, we're helping people level. We're gonna showcase one situational quest. An example of, like, where you could just get so much benefit out of participating in this stuff. We've done a couple of videos in holiday quests, so I don't think I need to show all of them. I will showcase one, though, that we do on stream pretty often. And in fact, it'll be the video prior to this one, according to you. So maybe you've even seen it by the time we talked about this. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, you know, I'm even looking at Purple Numb, and, like, Purple Numb's also pretty good for forces. Like, I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, huh. An interesting combination of things that you're able to do. And it is kind of a shame where, like, Pink ID starts as, like, a really strong Force ID. It's not, like, super great to grind on it unless you're a female Force. And if you're a female Force, it's fine. You get Vivian, Rambling May, get Excalibur. You could get Limiter in episode 4. You have a pretty good Slicer Fanatic run. So, like, it is a pretty solid ID. I don't think I agree with the people that are saying, like, Pink ID is the worst. I would agree with the standpoint where, like, you have very specific areas you should hunt. That I would agree with. But it has, like, some of the best runs in the game. So I can't call it bad when it has, like, one of the top 5. I'm like, is it bad when you can pick CCC and get, like, 1,000,000 items? And also get, like, 1,000,000 XP? Kind of like one of those things, or Phantasmal World 2, or honestly any underground quest in episode 4. I would say episode 1 is pretty bad for them though, and I would understand from that perspective. If they were playing purely episode 1, there is really almost nothing you want to hunt in episode 1. Their episode 1 is pretty depressing. But otherwise, I think they got what they need to do. If I was doing, like, Psycho Wand, I wouldn't do purple ID. I'd probably pick orange. Or just happen to get it coincidentally on blue ID. That would be my responses. Like, I would probably main hunted orange, coincidental blue. Thank you for the happy birthday. It is now 12 o'clock. So, there's a lot where it's like... Oh, it's really tough. I think some of the suggestions in forums make sense, but I don't think a lot of them do. I think where it's, like, really difficult for me to break it down is, like, something like Blue ID, where it's so polarizing with where it's used. Like, I love Blue ID very hard mode. I don't really enjoy them in Seabed. And they're really good at Surface, Episode 4. There's nothing I really hunt in Episode 1 in Blue ID, honestly. Promethean won the race, it's true. He said it exactly on time. The race is over. GG. Thank you for the happy birthday. Yeah, I think from that standpoint, it's just like... A lot of that is just kind of breaking it down. So I'm hoping that by providing a list of, like, where the areas are good, people can make their own decision about it. I want to be able to provide, like, all the rares that the people get of interest. I think that will also help new players make a decision. Because sometimes people ask me, like, what 2 or 3 IDs should I pick? Not just, like, 1 ID. They're like, I have a hunter and a ranger. You know, what ID should I pick so that they have less overlap? Those are questions I receive on stream, not, like, all the time, but, like, I would say, like, probably every 3 weeks that question comes up. Either on a different game or on PSO itself. So it's just, like, kind of one of those things for people that want to go, like, okay, what are the V502 ones? Okay, does this ID red rank? Does this ID PSG? Does this ID do this? So I'm hoping that when we produce our next guide, it's going to cover all that information. Hopefully you get some rest, Murphy. So funny enough, chat, you can see we're getting about 93 experience a second. That's actually lower than what we're doing in CCC. This should just give you an idea how crazy CCC was for the team. Like how much raw XP per second we're getting. And episode 4 has a big bonus to XP. So I like doing this quest when we have at least 1 force, maybe 2 forces. There's another quest that's super, super good with like 3 or more forces, as long as they have HP. That's like the caveat, which you can have God HP by this point. I don't think that's unheard of, especially if you have a Sky ID character. But yeah, there's like, it's kind of hard. Like, Sky ID also has some interesting things, but like, at the same time, like, does it fill out the character as well as Viridian does? I feel like the answer is no. Like, I think Sky ID has like a lot of fantastic hunts for Hunter, for example. Like, I'm ignoring Seal J Sword, that's the big one. But in terms of just getting calibers, like, it's just gonna have an advantage for people looking to Dark Flow. It still gets Red Ring. I wish it also did Parasitogene Flow. That should have been, like, the ultimate one, not Viridian. Yeah, for a while we were, like, hashtag nerf Viridian, because it really does give you, like, all the core class items. So I think it's, like, a second ID when you already have all of your basics. Filling in your calibers and all of your, you know, Excalibur chances as well. And that looks like really good choice as like a second ID for a Hunter if you're making Hunter. And that's where I'm hoping to make that distinguishing kind of comment so people are not just like, oh, I did Viridian, but like now I don't have any, you know, I don't have V502 or something. Like people will have to make at least, I'm thinking 3 IDs to get every major item. But realistically, you can get most in 2. Like, combining something like... I'm trying to think, what would be the minimum number that I could get every item in the game? I guess it would be... Viridian... Purple? It's missing Galatine, but it has Excalibur, it has V502, it has V101, it has all the major drops. Purple gives you most of your ranger stuff. It even get... The only thing I guess it's missing there is Cannon Rune. I guess if you're not looking to get Parasitic Gene Flow, you could substitute in Green ID for alternate Heaven's Breaker Cannon Root. Okay. But then you give up Excalibur. So it's just kind of like one of those things where you have to think about it. It's like a little exercise, thinking about every possible item combination. It really just depends on what you want out of it. Like, some people don't even care about Episode 2 at all. Like, those rares are irrelevant. People are just like, I'll pay instead of play Episode 2. Totally fair. Oh, unfortunately, the character death, you get booted from the area. Yeah. Rip. Could not save you. Rip and Parameter. Were you trying to paralyze the Gertabulu? That sucks. Welcome to RNG game. Shot, but no shot. And Parameter can hang around for a bit. Got 5 minutes to do whatever. Yeah, that is the downside. Getting killed by Gertabulu isn't easy on very hard mode. If it freezes you and then hits you again, it's pretty much GG's you. Especially if you have bad resists, which most people will if they're using basic frame plus like Ranger Wall. Gonna die pretty much instantly to the elemental damage. That's also secretly why I sometimes wear Adept, just for when I'm leveling a new character, specifically just to avoid the Gertabulu. Anyway, team's getting leveled up a bit more. Almost at our final quest here. Use some honorary ultimate mode. But yeah, those are things where, like, I've been looking at the lists and I just have to make a decision. So maybe I'll have a Eureka moment while I'm at lunch. Like on my lunch break at work. I'll just write something in a, like, little notepad and I'll transfer it from my phone back to Google Doc or something. Yeah, like, if we're talking about, like, clearly, like, class-useful items, like the Answers Pink ID, but I think it's worth noting, like, in terms of, like, huntables, I think Red ID might be their best. Hopefully you get some rest from Promethean, sticking around. Thank you again for the cookies, for using one of the video. Yeah, XP-wise, it's not bad. If we have multiple forces, it just ends up speeding it up quite a bit, because basically forces can cover each of the quests here. But for like a solo force clear, it's fun. You'll generally want at least one human character with demons, preferably, to speed up the Gertabulu kills. And help with Ground Detonator. Maybe. I didn't get a good look. I saw you die, but I wasn't paying attention to the circumstance. Hi, Ground Detonator. These are gonna take a little bit with Grand, sadly. There we go. Nice and simple. Level 60, nice. We got the team like another 15 or so levels while showcasing quests. I think that's a good example. All that convenience. That's annoying. Here are these enemies. Floor. Demon, Gertabulu. Yeah, team's slowly catching up. Is that a Yamato? No, Yamato's blue, I think. Maybe that's Musashi. Or it could be a Suka. Suka, I think, is also alright. It's been a while since I used those weapons. It is a Suka, nice. See, there we go. I worked my way through it. I played Hunter a long time ago. I swear, legitimately once. I cycled through. My Gertabulu. Actually, I just realized we have 2 more quests. I think I said one earlier. But we're gonna do, I think, the cookie quest first. Just to level the team. I would have put that at the end, but I think it's more useful for the chat to have levels of the other one. The other one we're talking about is probably, like, this one and the next one are, like, advanced ways to level. Like, this is not something you'll casually do. Beyond the Horizon, you might do casually once you're, like, level 70 or so. You have some, like, good stats to back it up. Or maybe you're hitting level 80 and you're struggling with bars. Maybe you'll get a group of people to do this. The other ones, it's usually dedication. People are power leveling you, but it's important to know about it. Congratulations! You were successful. 60,000 Meseta received, nice. Inflatable arm Gertabulu, maybe. Let's go ahead and do 2 more quests. Normally I'm used to running this on like green or purple, but we'll do this on blue. Normally in Ultimate this is a fun quest. We're going to be doing New Mop-Up Operation 3, which unfortunately has a damage room, so unless you have 2 forces or somebody is like hard carrying the quest, this can be too difficult for newer players. But I'm going to put it on there in case somebody asks you these kinds of questions about whether or not you want to do it. This quest potentially has some of the most XP in the game, period. It's still pretty good for drops in general on Blue ID. But yeah, it's just, we'll go through there. Although before we do that one, let's just use the Halloween cookie. So I'll just play that, just to level the chat. So in either case, I'd still recommend. And this will produce extra levels to make it. I'm sure Chris would not be adverse to a free cookie. Like, oh no, I now gain 4 more levels to survive the horrors of the fire room. Puts everybody a little further out of kill range. There we go. Let's go ahead and use the cookie. These are the things that can drop by just playing the Halloween event. I recommend saving a lot of them for Ultimate, but if you're just looking to super power level, I mean, you can't really beat this. It's just fantastic. So it's worth an honorable mention. Uh-oh. Everybody's not here. There we go. Like, I can't start spamming. And now we're gonna do what we're doing in the other video. Nothing but Kafoe spamming. So they're gonna help me with the high priority targets in episode 4, so I don't kill the big birds as quickly. I do some damage, I can stun them. But this is the main thing. If they can kill the Gertabulu for me, this saves a ton of time. The chat is gonna do it. If I can stun lock the zoos, I could chip them out to make it a little easier for them to be gunned down. Rip Dango. Yeah, this quest is potentially very dangerous for new players. Not as hard as the next quest, but it is kind of demanding. Immediately Goron Detonator is not very forgiving for new players. But oh boy, the reward. If I'm allowed to stack a Poe, we're earning 200 XP a second, which is better than a lot of Ultimate quests. In fact, it's going up now. In fact, it's about to skyrocket. Yeah, we almost did 230. Get 300. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the XP per second is kind of undeniably the best in the game. Area is crazy. The inbuilt XP bonus and everything else is insane. Again, this is just raw extra XP, so survive the slightly harder one. I recommend if you don't have a super decked out team with at least 2 forces to compensate for low levels, at least make sure you're higher level. You wouldn't be able to do the upcoming quest at like level 40, for example. This one, in theory, you could do at level 40, but you're gonna need some HP units to survive. There's just too much damage from Goron Detonator, Gerda Bulu. Survive that normally. There we go. And we'll help with the Goron Detonator. I'm gonna help by just insta-killing every wave. That's how I assist. Constant murder. Again, this is gonna give them the little bit of extra defense and HP to survive unfortunate crits, or like damage over time rune. Both of which are kind of annoying. Love we got a character up to level 88 just doing very hard mode stuff. That is kind of funny. I think that's a great proof of concept of how useful these quests are. Photon Crystal's a great way to pick up items. Technically, I don't know if I want to put it in the video per se. I'll think about it. The Photon Crystals can be used in Black Paper's deals, but I view that more as like a normal mode quest than like a very hard mode quest. Maybe I'll put that in as honorable mentions. It's something like you'll do if you happen to play a lot of Episode 4, but you'll probably just play it on normal. No hit Jaya, that's the game. Yeah, I was surprised they did CCC in Sol No Jayas. That was kind of crazy. We had like literally like almost 200 enemies that dropped it during rare item week. I didn't see a single one. That was crazy. Like every run should produce a Jaya. It's basically statistically where it's at. Oh well. Level a bit more. See that? They survived Goron Detonator. Now they don't need to be at perfect health in order to survive the next quest. Safety, defense, and HP at this point. 89, nice. Again, they're slowly getting more and more powerful. They're getting more and more crowd control. Like the Baran's launcher deleting all the enemies. And finally, the last enemies of the wave. They basically disappeared. Listen, they spawned, they wiggled, they died. Vengeance was had by Parameter. Parameter was not having that. It was like the Trinity dodged this moment. We're gonna pick up all these wonderful items. Technically, this quest also gives you a lot of money in case you need money. They deserve it. So we're gonna go ahead and drop all that stuff. Sadly, no PDs or material dropped. I'll leave the Tri-Grinders there. I'd rather get money. Hey, if we want to swing our Jaya, we just got like 3 or 4 Jaya swings worth of money. That's what the request ended. Oh, excuse me, we got almost 6 Jaya swings. So yeah, we raised their HP just a tiny bit, just to help them survive the next quest. This next quest can be very brutal, but the payoff of being able to do this quest is so strong. So this one would not happen unless you're doing events. I recommend pretty much all the holiday events, which we'll probably do a video at some point as a chat request to do them. But I think from that standpoint, we only have one left to do. I think we covered all the other quests we could potentially do outside of this one. good to go. Got some spare scape dolls. Any? Otherwise, we'll wait for Chris. We'll get started. There we go. Now his character is getting much closer to usability in Ultimate. This quest we're gonna do... Bump up version 3. We'll find out in a moment. Both 3 and 4 are useful for Heaven Striker resets. I think I like 4 slightly more, but I always confuse the two. They're too similarly named. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, if it's not one, it's the other. Yeah, this looks like the right one. So we're in a bit of a time limit, which makes it a bit tougher for players to get into. That's why I think if I do a quest guide at some point, like, this is a great quest, but the difficulty of the quest to fool would be up higher than normal. Anyway, XP per second is excellent. We can stack a lot of Gafoi in the small rooms. Otherwise, we want to be using Gafoi in general. Since we're coming up to open Gafoi. I should probably pop those boxes to see what they are. That's actually bad for me to not check them. It is just a free box check. There's a downside too. Other than, like, I guess the casting time over Bowie. This is where having those extra levels matters. So this is the quest that's definitely easier to do if you're just looking to level and you're tired of doing dragon resets or you're tired of doing TTF. That should be fun. I don't know. I feel like in theory you could play RT on episode 2. We tried to gambling, rolling sending. If you're a real person, you can ask for permission, but I kind of doubt. Bots are so rampant these days. I feel like they've been very aggressive. Is it just me, chat? Like, this past month, it's like the 7th or 8th bot after, like, not seeing them for like 6 months last year. Kinda crazy. Yeah, the other thing about this area is it's very easy to get lost, so I'm just gonna do a box check here real quick. Otherwise, I think from our standpoint, you know, as long as you don't go to, like, every side room, you should be fine for clears. A little worried about Green ID's health. Yeah, I was gonna say, probably have to heal. But I wanted to showcase that's where the boxes were. One set of the boxes. And some heal. Uh-oh, it's Chris. He's gonna die out there. There we go. Melting. Like a snowman in the sun. There we go. Yeah, this is another room where I prefer Brifoi because they are pretty far apart. You can see even with, like, doing box checks, this is still some of the highest XP per second we've seen outside of CCC. But to be fair, we also had Hell Needle in CCC, so that definitely inflates the speed at which you can clear. Even in, like, a multiplayer environment, CCC XP is broken on lower difficulties. I would not expect to get that much on, like, a brand new character, but man, if someone can carry you with one Hell Needle and the rest of the team ATPs, it's not too bad then. So I don't feel like going for the side rooms here, just go for the exit. Take that HP material. We still got about 2 minutes of buffs. So that healing circle is a trap. It's basically never worth taking. As chat takes it. You normally go on the left side there to go around. The reason being is that you're on a timer, you don't really want to spend that much time healing. Unless you are, like, truly out of traps. Which might happen if you're playing lower level. You will take that every time. If you really need Resta, I'll just heal you at that point. Am I out of tri-fluids? Crazy. Realize I use so many. might have to actually pick that up then. Unfortunately, I have double added, which is fine. I have enough to, like, restock myself once. But if I find, like, a tri-fluid where it isn't, that'll last me, like, 4 rooms. Star Atomizer. I guess that's what happens when you do, like, 7 to 8 quests in a row. You just kind of autopilot the tri-fluids. Oops. This room I'd like to stack the Convoy in, if we're able to. Let's go ahead and use Magical Piece so we can decrease how much TP we're using. While also still being very effective. Wait a few more seconds before applying buffs. Tune us out of range for the down, sadly. There we go. Okay, now because I don't have any fluids, I will go take I want those 8 dye fluids for the final room. This is gonna be such a tight usage of TP here. I think I got this though. Entering this quest with no tri-fluids was definitely an interesting choice. Although I might have used literally one, I don't remember. I could always die and get them back with Scapedoll. Technically, I have backup tri-fluids if I really need them. Kind of funny. I guess it's true. If you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than you can ever imagine. It's true when I have Scapedoll and I'm out of TP. Yeah, I will sadly take this healing circle, though I don't want to. We're gonna conserve our TP here. This is like the difference between me running out of TP and not running out of TP. That is a lot of TP we just regained. Because I need about like 600 a room, comparatively. So I just got like 3 more rooms. And I have dye fluids to carry me in the last room. Should be good now. I'm gonna try to heal the team up again. Yeah, we'll adjust to what items we have for sure. Also, since this is an open area, I should probably bring debuff so team doesn't explode. Save some healing items for the team there. Room. There we go. On the plus side, leveling heals. Transitioning between stuff. Oh, there's so many enemies here. There we go. Wall of XP for the new people. This already alone, 20 something levels across the team for the most part. That their adventures through very hard are going to be much easier now. Having literally like 100 extra ATP potentially is kind of crazy. Not to mention raw HP accuracy. So if not capped now, it went up significantly for solo play. But we're almost at the final room and I have enough dye fluid to end the run. We managed to recover from that mistake. We should have checked before the mission. PSO's all about adapting sometimes. Just slowly adjusting your strategy. Oh, now a dye fluid drops. Whatever. Yeah, no. Yeah, sadly this character is getting kind of leveled, like 40% of the way to the next level, just on very hard. XP is very silly. Like 100 XP per second is like a quote-unquote good ultimate quest. We're competing with that with like low-level characters. Granted, some are very geared, but it is pretty silly. Like the giant purple sword. Laser ahoy. Get the satellite lizards here. Take the single mono fluid, why not? Just pick up the life fluid. That one I don't think should be good. Because I should be able to get to about 800 TP for the final room with all the dive fluids I have. I just have to reach it. So I'll probably run out of TP here, but then I have enough dive fluid to finish the runs. Pretty far for me, I can't bump that far. Yes. Buffs. Up the dive bomb. See that, chat? We would have just barely run out of TP earlier. Let's use 2 dive fluids there. Be curious the rest of the run. 1 winged angels here for sure. Oh, you know what I remember about Final Fantasy VII the most? The one time I made the mistake of using Neo Bahamut Zero. You learn very quickly never to use it again, chat. Oh, kitty die fluids. Those summon animations, chat, that drove me wild. Like, walk away. Put food in the oven. Watching it like charge like 5 million years for the space laser, that and the Knights of the Round. Those were something. I'm like in a couple scenarios, I'm like, I think it's just actually legitimately faster just to auto attack than use. The animation is so long. Yeah. They they got rid of it in like the international versions, but the ability to skip the summon animations made me play Yuna in Final Fantasy X. I did not play as her at all in the US version. I was like, listen, I learned from Final Fantasy VII. If I can't skip this animation, GG. I mean, one-winged Kong and stepping on the one-winged beach. I don't know what those are. I'm assuming they're like misheard lyrics. Interest in there. I think that's all the quests, chat, unless you could think of something that you would recommend. But I think that's all I have on the list. I was just looking at the list. Don't see anything that I'm missing here. So we'll summarize the list. So we did Terrell's Ego, we did TTF, talked about the Dragon Reset as well as the full run. The Maximum Attack version 2 Pinkle ID. And we did CCC on Blue for Jayas. We did Phantasmal World 3 box runs for Pink, for techniques, money, etc. The Phantasmal World 4 Redria for Spirit Garment Disc of Rayman is like a returning to very hard mode hunt. And we did 9-1, which we recommended instead of doing the full quest to do the reset for, and we were just double checking where we would do it, so we found that in the video. MA4C Redria, we showcased if you're going to go for a Heart of item, at least that one has decent drops on the way there. We gave an honorable mention to Road to Nowhere Whiteill, technically, for Heart of DB Saber, but we didn't play that. We did MA4B Bluefull for Photon Crystals, Ignition Cloak, Select Cloak, Heavenly Arms, etc. Heaven Striker Coat, and we just did Beyond the Horizon and Halloween Cookie Quest. So I can't think of anything else. Unless chat says something else, we'll be concluding the video in just a moment. But I think that covers everything I would run in very hard, specifically very hard. There are some quests we run on hard mode, and I think we did those on other streams, like doing the horrendous, what is it, Fragments of Memory retrieval quest on hard mode, Red ID. Oh, looks like there's no other suggestions here. I will answer this question, I guess, on stream. Speaking of Striker Unit, is there a guide to help someone very bad with mags on raising one? Yes. I believe that's in our beginner guide. We did one, I think, for Talisia's. If it's not there, I will literally go back and add it if it's not there. But we talked about raising all, like, the Mind Mags, Nidra. Although, maybe we don't have one specifically for Striker Unit. If chat has any suggestions for that one, that's fine. I can always add that retroactively. That's probably, like, the only other one I would recommend outside of a Power Mag to make. But anyway, let's, I guess, say goodbye to YouTube, because we can't think of any more very hard mode quests to run. But those are the meta ones. I guess, technically, there's RT. I guess. But we run RT all the time. I don't know. I don't know if I recommend that for newer players. I think I would prefer CCC Episode 4 or TTF, just either due to speed or drops. So we'll leave it at that. We'll put RT as honorable mention, but we're not going to play that quest. So thanks for watching, and hopefully that answered your question, and I guess see you on the next chat request.